Good morning, everyone. This is Sandeep Kumar Sahu. Welcome back to our online class of iron making. This is lecture 6. We have studied about blast furnace construction and the raw materials used in blast furnace. And we know that all the raw materials, that means the iron ore bearing materials, iron ores are generally in oxide forms, and the metal is obtained. Metal means the iron is obtained from the oxides by reduction of these oxides. So it is essential to study the physicochemical principles of reduction, which is a high temperature phenomenon, for the better understanding of our iron making. For this, we should recall some basic thermodynamics, oxygen potential, and its use in blast furnace iron making, feasibility of reduction reactions of iron oxides, and oxygen potential of the gas inside a blast furnace. We know that at equilibrium, rate of forward direction reaction is equal to the rate of backward direction reaction. For a general reaction, A plus B gives rise to C plus D, where A and B are the reactants, C and D are the products. For this, the equilibrium constant of this reaction can be written as K is equal to activity of products, that means activity of C into activity of D divided by activity of reactants, that means activity of A into activity of B. This is called your law of mass action. If we take an example of silicon, that means the silicon oxidation, silicon plus oxygen gives rise to silicon dioxide. So the K value will be the activity of product divided by activity of reactants. And in the reactant side, the activity of oxygen is a gas, so we can write it as a partial pressure of oxygen. Then, when we are talking about iron making and steel making, in conventional iron making and steel making process, we generally produce liquid pig iron in case of blast furnace, and liquid steel or molten steel in case of basic oxygen furnace, which are generally the solutions of iron with varying amount of other elements like carbon, silicon, manganese, sulfur, phosphorus, etc. And also the byproduct slag is a solution of various oxides. In ideal solution, the mole fraction of any compound is equal to its activity, and when plotted, they will give a straight line known as Raoult's line. That is a straight line, Raoult's line. Activity by definition is interpreted as a measure of its free concentration in a solution that is available for taking part in a chemical reaction. When the solute is in pure state or the conventional standard state, its activity is equal to 1 or unity. Okay, so the expression will be AI is equal to Ni, or somewhere it is also written as Xi. AI is equal to Xi. In ideal solutions, in practice, are generally very rare. In our iron and steel making, typical example is iron and manganese, or FeO and MnO. And most solutions in reality exhibit deviation, as shown in figure, the negative deviation and the positive deviation. And this deviation or the departure from the ideal line can be quantified by the activity coefficient, that is called your gamma. Okay, the expression will be AI is equal to gamma I Ni, where the gamma I is called your activity coefficient. If this activity coefficient is more than unity, then it is positive deviation. If it is unity, then it is the straight line, that is your Raoult's line. If it is less than unity, then it is called your negative deviation. Activities in slag systems employ the conventional standard state as reference, but it is not possible to plot like this figure because slag is not a binary solution. Slag may have various oxides of metals like FeO, MnO, SiO2, L2O3, P2O5, CaO, MgO, all these things can be present. So we cannot draw a simple figure like this. In case of metals, metals can be treated as dilute solutions. And Henry law, which is a straight line relationship, but activity is not equal to the mole fraction, but proportional to it. Okay, it is proportional to it, but the activity is not equal to the mole fraction, as in case of Raoult's law. In metal, impurity concentration are very small. For convenience, another standard state is defined where the activity is equal to the unity at 1 weight percentage concentration of that solute. Okay, so when the weight percent is 1, then the activity is 1. So this is taken as a reference. So this is called your 1% standard state. If we take an example of Si and Si plus oxygen gives rise to SiO2, then the K prime will be activity of SiO2 divided by activity of Si will be substituted by weight percentage of Si. Okay, so this will be the final expression for 1% standard state. But in multi-component systems, solutes can affect the activity coefficient of each other. So we have to consider the interaction parameter for calculating the activity coefficient of each element or each solute. Then the free energy and the oxygen potential. Free energy, we know that the standard free energy change in a chemical reaction is expressed as del G naught equal to del H naught minus T del S naught, or this del G naught can be written as minus RT ln K, where K is the equilibrium constant, as we have studied earlier. Okay, standard state means what? Standard state means all the reactor and products are in unit activities. That means solids and liquids are pure and gases are at 1 atmospheric pressure. So the del G naught value gives an idea about feasibility of a reaction. If it is negative, then the reaction is feasible, else it is not. Let's now come to our oxygen potential. Let's consider a reaction that is silicon plus oxygen gives rise to SiO2. So silicon is in solid state and oxygen gaseous and SiO2 also in solid state. Okay, in this case K will be the activity of activity of products divided by activity of reactants. As we know that the condensed phase, then that means the solid state SiO2 and Si can be taken as 1 pure form. So the final K value will be 1 by partial pressure of O2. So we can say that at any temperature there is a definite oxygen pressure with which silicon and SiO2 are in equilibrium. This is called oxygen dissociation pressure, and it increases with temperature for all oxides of our interest. But it may change in case of carbon monoxide, which decreases with increasing temperature. That will be dealt later on. Okay. The standard free energy change in terms of oxygen dissociation pressure will be del G naught equal to minus RT ln 1 by partial pressure of O2 or RT ln partial pressure of O2. That minus will be compensated by 1 by P naught. Okay, that is RT ln partial pressure of O2. Then it can be called as oxygen potential. It is called as oxygen potential. It will be more convenient for our study to have the Ellingham diagram with oxygen potential. This is the Ellingham diagram we all know. It gives the relative stability of various oxides, that means the pure oxides, as it is a pure metal and pure oxide system. Here the y-axis, is your oxygen potential and the x-axis is temperature. Okay, let's take an example. Okay, how the oxygen potential varies with temperature. Let's take an example. Okay, so this is your Fe2O3 line. Okay, and this is your Fe3O4 line, and this one FeO. Okay, so from these lines it can be seen that oxygen potential of Fe2O3 is higher than Fe3O4, and Fe3O4 is also higher than that of FeO. And this indicates that in reducing atmosphere, that means in case in the atmosphere of blast furnace, which is reducing atmosphere, Fe2O3 or hematite reduce fast as it has higher oxygen potential. If we talk about relative stability of iron oxides, we can say that the most stable oxide is FeO, next is Fe3O4, and Fe2O3 is least stable. When we can talk about the oxides of various metals, it can be stated that an element is theoretically capable of reducing, means removing or displacing oxygen from any oxide above it. That means an element can be able to reduce an oxide above it. Okay. More the vertical distance between these two lines, the greater the affinity is. The tendency is more prone. Okay. Another important thing to be noticed from this diagram is the lines related to carbon. That means the carbon dioxide line, this one is the carbon dioxide line, and the carbon monoxide line, downward slope. Okay, these two lines intersect each other at about 700 degrees centigrade. Okay, so carbon plus O2 gives rise to carbon dioxide, which is a horizontal line, preferably takes place below 700 degrees centigrade. Okay, because the carbon monoxide line goes down after that point up to intersection, so it will be more stable. So carbon monoxide will be stable at more than 900 degrees centigrade, 700 degrees centigrade. Okay, the another line, that is your carbon monoxide plus oxygen gives rise to carbon dioxide. Okay, it also intersects the other two lines at 700 degrees centigrade. This line decides the carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide content of the gaseous phase. Okay, so it is possible to estimate whether a metal will be oxidized or its oxide will be reduced at a certain carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide ratio at a fixed temperature. If the carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide ratio is higher than equilibrium, then the oxide will be reduced to its respective metal. If the ratio is lower than the equilibrium, what will happen? The metal will be oxidized to its respective oxides. Okay, let's solve a numerical so that it will be more clear. Okay, So calculate the equilibrium carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide ratio for the following reactions at temperatures 400, 800, 1000 degrees centigrade respectively, and comment on the feasibility of gaseous reduction of various iron oxides inside a blast furnace. Okay, reactions are given. Hematite to magnetite reaction is given by 3Fe2O3 solid plus carbon monoxide gas equal to 2Fe3O4 solid plus carbon dioxide gas, and its del G naught value is given minus 44300 minus 39.89 T. Likewise, magnetite reduction is given and FeO reduction is given, Ustad reduction is given, and the respective del G naught values expressions are given, also given. Okay, so we have to find out the equilibrium carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide ratio. Okay, so let's have solve one problem, means one step at 400 degrees centigrade for the reaction 1, that means reduction of hematite to magnetite. Okay, so what is given? Del G naught expression is given. Okay, and the temperature is given 400. So 400 plus 273, that will give you 673. So we can get the del G naught value, final del G naught value with this temperature. Okay, and we know that del G naught equal to minus RT ln K. Sorry, ln K. So what is K? K means the product by reactant. As the solid are activity to be 1 condensed phase. So the K value will be CO2 by CO ratio, partial pressure of CO2 by partial pressure of CO. Okay, so that will be equal to the del G naught. So from that we can calculate what is the partial pressure of CO2 to CO ratio. And from this we can also calculate the amount of fraction of carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide, as the atmospheric pressure, the pressure is taken to be 1 atmosphere. Okay, so from this it is evident that the percentage CO in the gas mixture is negligibly small. That means very low value, less than 1. Okay, that means a little amount of carbon monoxide, presence of a little amount of carbon monoxide can reduce hematite to magnetite at 400 degree centigrade. So if we calculate for all the temperatures and then we will get all the data. What we have calculated for all the 400 degree centigrade for the hematite, 800 degree centigrade for the magnetite, and 1000 degree centigrade for the Wustite. Okay, so from this data we are able to analyze that a negligible amount of carbon monoxide is sufficient to reduce hematite at 400 degree centigrade. About 44.5% of carbon monoxide is required for the equilibrium at 800 degree centigrade in magnetite reduction, and whereas that percentage of CO increases to 68% in case of Wustite. That means, as we know that in case of blast furnace, the gas, the reducing gas, that means the gas containing carbon monoxide, goes on decreasing when it goes from 2s to top. So at the top part of the blast furnace, there will be less amount of carbon monoxide. So there only the hematite reduction can take place. Okay, and when the concentration of carbon monoxide is much more higher, that means at the Bose region, so at high temperature region, the Wustite reduction can be taking place. Okay, so from this we can have an idea about the stability of iron oxides inside a blast furnace. So from this we can conclude that FeO is the most stable, and then after Fe3O4 magnetite and Fe2O3 is least stable. It is reduced instantaneously to magnetite if some amount or a little amount of carbon monoxide is available. Then oxygen potential of gas inside a blast furnace. We know that the blast furnace, the blast enters into the furnace at the tuer region just above the hearth, and it goes upward to the top of the furnace, and due to a particular sequence of charging there are alternative layers of ore and coke and ore and coke like this. Okay, and when the gas goes from top bottom to top, then it encounters alternative layers of this iron ore and coke, and so that the oxygen potential, or in other words reducing capability of this gas, changes accordingly. So let's see how it changes. So let's consider the temperature of a blast furnace entry is 1000 degrees centigrade at point A. At point A, okay, at point A, this point, the entry of blast is at 1000 degrees centigrade. Okay, so as we know that the atmospheric air contains about 21% oxygen, that means the activity is taken to be 0.21. So for this, if we calculate, so we'll get minus 4 kilocalorie per mole. That is the oxygen potential mu1 at point A. Okay. At point B, that means where it is point B, when it strikes a coke and burns in front of the tuers. Okay, in front of the tuers, when coke burns, the temperature increases. Okay, and carbon monoxide will be generated, and the oxygen potential will be decreased. Okay, so it is about minus 150 kilocalorie per mole at point B. Okay, again when comes to the ore layer, it reduces the ore and oxygen joins the gas phase, and its oxygen potential increases. This goes to the temperature about 900 degrees centigrade. Okay, this fluctuation, okay, when it goes to when A to B, the oxygen potential decreases. When it strikes iron ore, then some amount of oxygen is released and the oxygen potential increases. Then again when coke slit is there, then again decreases. Again iron bearing material, then again increases, then decreases and increases. It goes on up to what? Up to 900 degrees centigrade. The gas goes from the tuer to the top. Okay, up to achieving a temperature of 900 degrees centigrade, because in front of the tuers the temperature is about 2000 degrees centigrade. The temperature goes on decreasing as the hot gas strikes the raw material. The temperature is transferred, or heat is absorbed by the solids, so the temperature goes down up to 900 degrees centigrade. This type of fluctuation goes on, and beyond this 900 degrees centigrade, that means when the temperature falls below this 900 degrees centigrade, okay, and in the stack region, oxygen potential will go on increasing steadily. It will go on increasing steadily. Okay, so it is only able to reduce Fe2O3. As I have said that in the top part of the blast furnace, only Fe2O3 can be reduced, because we have calculated that a negligible amount of carbon monoxide in the carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide mixture is eligible to reduce Fe2O3. So as it goes on decreasing the reducing potential, that means the increasing the oxidizing potential, then the Fe2O3 is only reduced at the top of the furnace. Okay. So in this class we have studied some about oxygen potential of the gas, how it changes, and what are the importance, and how can we calculate the equilibrium carbon monoxide to carbon dioxide ratio for a particular iron oxide reduction reaction. Okay, so that's all for this class. If anyone has any doubt, then he can ask. Thank you.